How's it going, guys? RoyalFlush here. Welcome. If you play Marvel Rivals or any game that requires a controller such as the PS5 controller, um, you might eventually run across the occasional problem that your joysticks will begin to drift at some point in time. Okay, so I mean, if you've had your controller since launch, or even if you buy like a relatively like new one, like one of these, it will at some point be susceptible to stick drift. Okay, so maybe you have a few tools and maybe you have some soldering iron around lying around, and you would like to fix it yourself. Well, I'm gonna run through a few of the DIY methods to remedy your stick drift, and maybe a couple other things too, like increase the battery life. So first, how do we identify that our controller is stick drift ridden? Well, there's several ways. If you play Marvel Rivals like me, there's an in-game tool you can check out in the practice range. So, firstly, go ahead and go to settings, practice settings specifically, and go to controller operation. And this will show you on screen a visual of both joysticks, okay? There's a little green area there that where once it starts leaving, it's going to start moving, okay? These might be different depending on your joystick settings. So, but essentially, you can identify if your controller has stick drift just by looking at it, okay? When you move your character, you want to make sure the point on the stick there is leaving the purple area. If you want to start testing the pressure sensitivity, do the same thing, but now you can see, okay? But if you want to move at full speed, you need to make sure that in all directions, it's leaving the purple area just slightly, okay? And then as far as camera control goes, same thing. See if it reaches, when you do a full circle, reaches outer part of the purple circle. And if you want to test your aim, go ahead and do that. But so like as you can see here, this one it's not drifting too much, but if I say I do this just a little bit out of the green circle area, yes, the drift will be more noticeable. So on this controller, it's okay. But here, let me show you an example of one where it's quite bad. Okay, I have another controller here where I do need to replace something. Okay, just a fair warning. So I'm gonna boot this thing up. Start it, and there we go. I'm not moving this thing, okay? This right stick here is moving on its own, okay? This control stick on the right needs to be replaced, okay? And then here we can go to one where I have actually fixed it, my preferred black controller. Okay, this one, pretty good. Okay, I've replaced the joysticks on this one specifically, okay? So this is a good example of one that is good to go. Same with the white one, but I think the white one I would still want to fix up. But this red controller will be the one that I perform a few of the modifications on to fix. What tools will you need? First, let's start with the soldering iron, okay? Basically, you just need any soldering iron that's gonna be allowing you to change the temperature. But more importantly, you need one with a replaceable tip, okay? So obviously if you've ever used a soldering iron, it gets very hot. So make sure you have your stand, make sure you know how to properly apply solder as it's hot and touching the contact point where you need to solder. Don't burn anything, don't burn yourself. Try not to burn any wires, try not to burn any connections, make sure things are nice and out of the way of the heat of the solder, okay? Let's get to the part of the analog joystick piece that you're gonna need to go out and search. It comes in two pieces, okay? It's specifically fitted to get all the solder points on the analog joysticks all at once when this thing's hot enough, okay? But then you might be wondering, how do you replace this thing on here, okay? I'm going to show you while it's not hot. So you have to remove the coverage here, okay? Okay, just make sure you don't lose any parts. This tip will be removed, and then in place of it, you're going to put the cylindrical piece first. Okay, right there on top. And then now you put the covering piece. Screw this, just like so. And then this part you want to make sure is fairly secure. This part here, you want to make sure it's not too tight, because you're going to want to be able to remove it while it's hot. Okay. So the trick to doing this while it is hot and plugged in, you're going to want to be able to grab some pliers and then just carefully make sure you don't burn yourself as you twist the pieces, but you're going to need to do this to make sure that things are secure and that you do not burn yourself as you're trying to place the pieces. Secondly, let's talk about the analog joysticks. I've tested out a couple, but I've arrived at this one specifically being the go-to. It is called the GuliKit controllers, okay? TMR electromagnetic joystick, compatible with the PS5 controller and the Edge, PS5 DualSense Edge. I'll open this thing up right now, just so you know what is included in the basic kit. So in the basic kit, you get 2 analog joysticks and 2 replacement analogs for the top. Okay, they look something like this. These ones are pretty nice, but personally I do not use these ones. But they actually do feel quite firm. Here's what they look like. Actually, you know, when it's on here, doesn't look that bad. Very smooth when you get it up and running. But here's the analog joystick, okay? 14 points here, okay? So again, you're gonna when you do the removal of the old joystick while this thing is hot, these things should line up with the old joystick, okay? But you're not going to want to use this piece once you want to apply this one. I have actually a special trick to utilize once it's time to install the joystick. Lastly, a replacement battery for the controller itself, okay? The PS5 default batteries, rechargeable batteries, they actually do not have that much of a high milliamp wattage or whatever. So here's a kit that includes 2 of them. And this one is 5,000 milliamps, okay? So that's almost 3 times the amount of energy that the default PS5 controllers hold. Can you see it there? This one is 5,000. These are pretty easy to install. It just has a wire harness right here, and you plug the old one, put the new one in place. This is probably the last thing you do before you close up the controller, okay? But yeah, I recommend a 5,000 milliamp. So make sure you look at the value. Try not to get fooled by high numbers and then it's not the right milliamp. 5,000 is at least 3 times more than the default PS5 controllers, okay? Now I'm going to show you a few tricks after you've opened up the controller and are trying to remove the joystick and put the new one in place.
Alright, so if you made it to this far in taking apart your PS5 controller, you should get to the part where it's like this. And here's the soldering iron analog stick removal piece. You're going to want to make sure that you line up the parts of it where it will heat up properly. Okay, I'm doing this with 2 hands here, so it's kind of hard, but yeah, be very careful and just make sure you line it up. You might need a screwdriver to put in place to help remove the joystick you're trying to remove. So just play around with it, but be very careful as you try to take it apart. All right, next up. So you might see I have this little block here with a toothpick attached. When you get to this part where you've already removed the joystick and you want to make the holes so that when you put the new joystick in, it'll be easier. What I recommend is what you're going to do is align the toothpick to the hole that you're going to start and try to making the hole for nice and clean, and then touch the soldering point right through there and do that for all the points of the analog where the holes are going to align and fit in. I'll show you when it's done, okay? All right, so check it. Holes are all clear. And then now what you want is for this joystick to fit in nice, okay? Check it out. There's very little resistance. I have not soldered it in yet, but notice how close everything is and is ready to be soldered. Okay, you could use just the regular solder tip here once you have it like this, okay? I've soldered all the points here. This thing's ready to go back. Okay, just like that. All in place, new thumbsticks. All right, I'm gonna put on the new battery too after this is all back in place. All right, new battery pack is also in place. Just make sure that harness is nice and secure. And now we're going to close this thing up and test it out on online and in-game.
All right, I have the controller already set. I'm going to go and give it a try here now. I have it plugged into my laptop right now. Go ahead and check out the link for this. This thing is called the DualShock Tools GitHub GUI. Just look up PS5 DualShock Calibration, and from there we'll go ahead and see that this thing's working properly. I'm gonna boot this thing up to make sure it works. Okay, so all right, let's give it a go. So I'm gonna connect it. Select, connect. Okay. We have to go ahead and test it. So right now that doesn't look right? So we have to figure out the ranges on these things. Okay. Right now, not very good. So we're gonna have to get the centers all figured out and it will calibrate. There we go. Looking a lot better. Okay, so what we want to do here now is go ahead and fine-tune everything. Go ahead and run through these tests more properly, and that way it will get everything all set in order. Okay, we'll do the corner testing here. Okay, good. And then you also want to fine-tune the center here. Okay. Nice. All right, and then we fine-tune here. Okay, we check to see if there's any bit of like jumping around. Okay, try to calibrate it, correct it. Make sure things go back to center just fine. Might take a few tries. All right, looking good so far. I changed the right sticks particularly, so if anything else comes up, we'll have to attend to that. Okay, and let's check the security one more time. Nice, looking good. This thing recommends the security is like a range of like 7 to 9. Okay, so just give it a few circles and make sure you're reaching those numbers properly. And you save changes permanently, and then when you boot up the game, it should contain these changes. Okay, and we'll disconnect. Okay, back in the practice range, I'm going to go and give this new controller stick a try and make sure that things are working properly.
Like a bit of gardening.
Practice settings.
Hostile ahead.
There we go. Look at that. It's holding it in the green circle. Looking pretty good. Look at that. All right. Remember, I was going on its own. Very controlled. Also, let's make sure it's going all the way outside the purple circle. Perfect. Okay, this thing's ready to go. All right, and just like that, hey, maybe it'll save you from buying a few controllers. Just you need to have a good soldering iron lying around, some skills and know how to use it, and you know, a few parts that you have to go searching out for on Amazon and probably eBay. Okay. Anyways, hope you enjoyed that. Hope it worked out for you, and enjoy your games that involve your controller, especially Marvel Rivals. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Like my clips, watch my clips, and watch my streams. Twitch.tv/RoyalFlush_TVC. Thank you guys for watching, and have fun.